Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie9 here. Well, you can probably read the title. For this live stream, I'm going to be narrating Blood Whistle. Yay! Alright, let's get this show on the road. Forward. Oh, wait. Wait, there's a forward? Oh, this is just going to make it longer. This is the recorded blog of a college student who was playing a modified version of Super Mario Bros. 3 on his computer. Shortly after submitting the last entry, he committed suicide in his dorm room. Well, at least it's not being written by a dead person. Or a spirit. Okay, I gotta stop interrupting myself. Alright. June 5th, 2012. A friend of mine recently sent me what he claims to be a scary Super Mario Bros. 3 hack that he wanted me to try out because he didn't have the courage. Uh-huh. I started this blog to record my progress through the game. He got this from a site that's no longer active. Suspicious, eh? And I've seen some pretty scary occurrences with emulator games before. Just look at Ben. Ben wasn't an emulator game. In fact, Ben wasn't even from an emulator game. Ben wasn't from an emulator game. Ben was from an actual cartridge of Majora's Mask. What does that have to do with emulators? Anyway, all that aside, however, there was something definitely off about this ROM. Its title was SMB3BW. Anyhow, I won't play any today as I'm quite busy with college work and such, but I will definitely start tomorrow. Uh-huh. BW. Blood Whistle. My god. Anyway, June 6, 2012. I played some of the game today. Obviously my friend was misinformed as I have played all the way through 1 3 and have found nothing irregular. All the sprites, levels, and sounds and have a fluke to their name. Fluke? God damn, this sounds so familiar. I don't know why, it just does. Wait. A secret! That must be I have to unlock it. I swear, you guys, I'll find the warp whistles tomorrow. And see what creepy secrets this game has to hide. Look for tomorrow's post, it won't disappoint. Maybe this will explain the BW in the what the BW in the title stands for. I'm already not looking forward to this. June 7th, 2012. I wish I hadn't unlocked that secret. Knew it! Fucking knew it! This game will be the bane of my existence. Really? This... Quit being such a hypersensitive little bitch then. If this is going to be the bane of your existence, you have a very terrible life. Actually, not terrible. Just boring. I'll try as best as I can to explain what happened and what will certainly entail. I don't know if any of you will believe me, but this sick mockery of one of my childhood favorites must be exploited and never be seen by the eyes of any other breathing man on God's green earth. And Todd, what I'll call my friend for the sake of privacy and possibly security, do not send that link to anyone else. You'll see why below. I'm going to repeat my earlier statement. Quit being so hypersensitive. I entered the castle stage. Knowing its only secret was the warp whistle, I disposed of the dry bones before donning a raccoon tail. With a running start, I was flying above the stage until I hit the secret area. My whole life before I hit up on my arrow keypad was completely different. I was happy. I was normal. And then you became a hypersensitive bitch. I could wake up in the morning and recognizing my own reflection, being absolute about my safety. Now it's lies, all lies. Again, covered in my earlier statement, and then you became a hypersensitive bitch. I know that as of what happened today, my life will become an infernal hell in which every day will be a futile struggle to retain my own sanity. I'll finish this wretched collage of electronic dejection. I will embrace death like a long-lost lover with open arms. Wow! Really settle on the foreshadowing there, writer. Now to get on with what had come to pass. The blocks that lined the wall were gloomy, albeit polished obsidian black. Mario's skin now had a greyish tint to it, but that wasn't what was wrong with that picture. The music was a sped-up version of the normal bonus room theme. Toad's skull was cracked open and profusely bleeding, spilling blood onto the floor and making the room slippery like an ice stage. His mouth was also agape and spewing blood onto the floor. The blood had an eerie, reflective quality that should have been graphically impossible for an 8-bit game like Mario 3. I walked up to him to see what it is that he might say. What he had to offer was this. Blood whistle. Hear its cry. I then ran toward the chest to see its contents. The chest was drenched in reflective, realistic blood of the same type emanated by the orifices and exposed cranium of the poor little mushroom-headed fellow. Thanks for the purple prose there. Also, hyper-realistic blood. Just saying. Pressing onward, I ran through it to discover its dark secret, its twisted surprise. I wasn't prepared for the following events. A blood-soaked warp whistle ominously rose from what I now believe to be the deepest crevice of hell. It rose from the chest, you idiot. It blipped twice as the normal whistle would. That, my fellow reader, thanks for the fourth wall break, Ryder, was the only normality of what I have played today. Oh wait, never mind that. Thanks for the fourth wall break, Ryder. Better statement. Thanks for very blatantly shoving us into the story for no apparent reason. I know this isn't meant to be a blog post, but you're seriously saying he's writing this, and you're meant to be saying he's just a normal reader of the blog that he's writing. It played a deep tune that I can't get out of my head as I write this. The whistle descended, violently striking Mario in the chest. He unleashed a blood-curdling scream as it went into his back and out of his chest. His cry wasn't 8-bit at all. It wasn't even cartoonesque. It was the sound of unfiltered anguish, of utter agony. More purple prose? Really? His expression reflected the same. To end my experience on this perverse version of something I once loved, Mario was transported to the warp zone of the blood whistle. I call it this because it only had the cookie-cutter outline of the Coin Island. The water consisted solely of the same blood of aforementioned in my encounter with the whistle. Corpses of Koopas and other enemies of Mario were scattered afloat near the shores. White, menacing eyes glared at me between the waves, surfacing just to cast their evil glance at Mario. Or me, I can't be sure at this point. All of the worlds were indicated by their respective numbers, and all of the dots were crimson. At that point, I noticed yet another abnormality, this time concerning the dot for World 8. Beside it were two 8-bit patches of fire that twisted and contorted in place. Yes, that's kind of what fire does. Without me pressing any buttons, the whistle stabbed Mario in the ribs. This cued him to move to the World 2 door. refusing to pay any further attention to the horrors that surely await in the storied desert. I saved the game and quit. I've played more than enough of my fill for today. I guess that I figured out the acronym for the runtime. It all meant blood whistle the hard way. No shit, Sherlock. Also, pretty much everyone knew what BW meant before we even got to this point. Despite the horrors that plague this abomination, I will continue to subject myself to this suffering for the sake of all of you. Well, also for mine. It'll help me keep track of the days, and maybe this desperate attempt to cling to my stable frame of mind won't prove to be a total pain. There are 5,000 people that have followed this blog in the 2 days that it's been up. After this pointedly interesting post, I'm hoping to have some more. For those of you following my posts, read tomorrow's and share with your friends. I need you to expose the stark luridness of this shell of something I once knew and loved. Wimp! Wimp! You are a wimp! If you're meant to be a young man who's heavy duty in the gaming, I'm at least assuming this guy's a, well, guy. Oh wait, never mind. It said right at the beginning. He committed suicide in his dorm room. What a fucking pussy. Mate. No one would react to it like this if they're playing a scary game. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't give half a fuck. Then again, I'm not in your shoes. Anyway, I'll do June 8th and then I'll probably wrap it up for a bit. Okay, June 8th, 2012. Well, I did it. I managed to clench the fickle fibers of my perception of reality long enough to play through World 2. Is this just me, or is this writer pro at writing purple prose? I've come to the conclusion that whoever made this is completely and utterly deranged. Nah! There's been a rust gear or a broken spring in the mechanics of their sadistic mind. Again. Nah! Their only purpose in creating this mod was to mentally and psychologically flagellate the naive soul poor enough to take the bait of its mysterious origin. No, he probably created it because he's an asshole. Oh wait, that's pretty much what you were saying. God damn it, Purple Prose. I've really... Well, I'm certainly naive enough to fall into that category. I digress. To the experience. Does that mean we're getting less Purple Prose? Or are we going to get more Purple Prose? I find myself asking how I could have missed major things like this yesterday, when I saved the game in this world. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Blood of the same texture from before was just as splattered across this desert sands as sand itself was. Solitary eyes watched me from the pyramids. Pentagrams and other satanic symbols were also infrequent in the background. Could this hack be the work of the Illuminati? You said it yourself. This was made by a complete nut bar. It wasn't the Illuminati. In fact, the Illuminati doesn't exist, dumbass. Okay. I've gotta... Nah. I've gotta just put my mind out of how utterly shitty this tale is. Okay, enough pondering. Pondering? You literally just ask, is this done by the Illuminati? I can give you the short answer. No. Do you want the long answer? Okay. No! I need to finish this grim tale. Skeletons of Coopers littered the bleak landscape. There was a distinctive disturbance with Mario's appearance, though. He looked starved and parched, as one would typically look after a few days in the desert. Mario then moved into the 2-1 block without my command, and the music started to play again shortly after. This was a reversed version of the Overworld theme. Reversed music. Yeah. It was cool when Ben Drown did it. This story sucks complete balls and uses it. So, you tell me. Actually, hell, better way of putting it. This makes the way Sonic.exe did it look brilliant. And I'll get into that twisted dreg heap of a story later, but for now I've got to finish this crap pile. Ugh. Whispers and other paranormal phenomena could be heard playing in harmony with the music, saying cryptic things. After about a minute I began to record the sound. I'll upload it as soon as possible, but I know I definitely can't do it today. Why not? You're not going to explain, are you? One of the most distinct things I kept hearing was, "Let the whistle guide you," and "The instrument of blood plays the sweetest tune." This creeped me out, needless to say, but this of all things wouldn't prevent me from playing out the remainder of this game. You're scared shitless and you're still subjecting yourself to this? You're worse than Tom from Sonic.exe. Okay, moving on. The stage itself was very scary. Proving my point. You're just subjecting yourself to torture, you dumbass. The sky was greyish blue, accompanied by an almost white sun. The colors weren't bright or cheery in the slightest. The pyramid blocks were faded and cracked, and the wooden blocks were obviously rotting. Mario's sprite was visibly starving and pleading for thirst. Don't you mean pleading with thirst, not pleading for thirst? The fire creatures fixedly stared at me like a shark stares at a school of fish, seeming to know who their next meal was. The neutral expressions of the Koopas had changed into ones of converged disgust and loathe. Okay, I'm just going full grammar Nazi on this thing. Don't you mean loathing? Not just loathe? Also, you spelled loathe wrong. Bloody American spelling, I think. There's meant to be an E at the end. Anyway, I had obtained the raccoon by now, so I ran along the pipe-looking platform and took off. I flew for a little while, which was nice. Mario's face changed as well, being the normal, happy smile you usually see throughout the entire game. I relished in the few moments of happiness I sought from this game. These moments were mercilessly ended within the course of a few seconds. The sky flashed a gloomy black before the blood came out and impaled the poor plumber yet again. Also, while I'm at it, fuck this alliteration. It's too much, my man. Too much. Mario fell, his corpulent figure going limp until he hit the ground with a thump that I swore I could feel. Emo plus purple prose equals shit, by the way. And this is what this story is. emo and purple prose written into a terrible gaming creepypasta. He was miraculously alive, his body twitching in a feeble attempt to rise. A fire creature jumped on Mario, who was now pinned to the ground and screaming in pain. His scream was bitterly realistic. Hyperrealism again! Get It reeked of ineffable pain. It hurts me now to describe the sheer degree of torture his character was put through. There he was, burning and seething in pain, and there I sat, completely powerless, forced to watch what I thought was the end of his trials on World 2. I was so wrong. For God's sake, it's just a video game. Get over yourself. Also, you did have the power. It's called Control Pad, you dingus. You don't know how to video game anymore. The level select came into view. Whistle flew back. Mario was transported to one of the pyramid levels. When the level started, the background was an egregious, smoke-filled black. Bursts of lightning filled the sky with illumination. Winged demons in flight were visible upon these strikes. Also in the skies glowed stagnantly lit pentagrams and 666. Satanic imagery and 666. More cliches. Yeah, because we definitely needed those. Mario was being carried by two of Bowser's sons up one of the game's pyramid structures. However, this particular structure was vastly different than the regular ones. The bricks were cracked and faded with age. The edges were jagged with dried blood caked each block. You're missing a that. Nothing but a heavy drum beat and the sounds of thunder played in the background. The thunder didn't play in unison with lightning, as happens in most of the games. There was an eerily realistic pause between the flare of the lightning and the boom of the thunder. As the top of the structure was reached, I saw the worst thing yet. Bowser towered above everyone else, intimidating and terrible. Below stood four of his sons, two of which had carried Mario: Morton, Iggy, Ray, and Von Koopa. Okay, I know Bowser's 7 kids, and I'm pretty sure none of them were named Ray. Let's see, who can I remember? Yeah, Morton, Iggy, Ludwig, Wendy, Lemmy, Larry, and oh yeah, Roy. Pretty sure that's what the writer meant. Roy, not Ray. Also, why not just use Ludwig's name instead of Von Koopa? Above the entire scene were the words "Blood Whistle" in bright red neon letters. Bowser's face had to have been 10 times more evil than I had ever seen it. His green shell was cracked, and his white spine had been dipped in blood. There was fresh blood on his teeth also as his serpentine tongue licked them, making clear his intentions on what to do with Mario after he had disposed of him. It was then I came to a dooming realization. Don't you mean a damning realization? It's not like this realization's going to end your existence. Mario can't die. The game won't let him, however many things are thrown at him. In however many ways he is brutally maimed, mortality will not escape him. For a time, that is. He will continue to be sustained by whatever dark force or sick mind that drives the rest of these occurrences to passing until the game's eventual end, in which he will ruefully and painfully perish. You could have just said die. I hate Purple Bros. Let's say something. I occasionally dabble in it. Now that has been said, to continue today's experience. Suddenly Von Cooper produced a dagger. It gleamed with uncanny realism in the light of the blood whistle sign that loomed above. More fucking hyperrealism! After a brief pause, he began to slice Mario's chest open. Mario again braved that fearful cry, a cry that implied that he would die only to endure torture of 10 times the magnitude. Tears streamed down his face as Von removed his heart, still pumping. He handed it to Bowser, who ate it with a crunching chomp. His name is not Von, it's Ludwig. Or the way I generally say it, Ludwig. Because it's easier that way. His sons laughed as he did this, blood flowing from Mario's exposed abdomen. With a bark from their twisted father, the sons shamelessly began to regurgitate and tear apart what was open. As they were doing this, Mario slowly turned his head towards me and uttered a single question through tears and blood. What? What? Why? I myself asked the very same question. Why would they treat him as an animal, if not less, for their amusement? Why would someone initiate the genesis of such a horrid contraption? A contraption in which life and death have no meaning and are manipulates. A contraption in which concepts such as morals, remorse, and mercy are completely foreign. It makes me shudder to think that there is someone sick enough out there to put a character through this kind of unbearable hell just to sit back and laugh. Doesn't make me shudder. It makes me think he deserves to be put down. It makes me absolutely sick to my core. Again, doesn't make me sick. Then again, that's maybe because I actually have a pair. Oh, that reminds me of another thing. You're probably wondering as to why I complacently talk about Mario as if he's a human being. A human who suffers pain, sorrow, depression, starvation, and thirst like the rest of us. A human who is also capable of feeling happiness, remorse, goodwill, and love like anyone else. It's because I am thoroughly convinced that he is. Please, don't stop following this blog because you think I'm insane. That will come later. Too late, Bright Eyes. If I were one of your followers, I'd have unfollowed about the day you started playing this shit heap. Huh? Alright, the story. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that inside this game is a character with a complex range of emotions. Someone who feels like you and me, but it's just a game, right? It's just a contrived mixture of code and data put together to present words and images, correct? Wrong. I know with everything inside of me that Mario has to be alive. He's a video game character. It was based off a real guy, Jack Kirby. Oh wait, no. I'm thinking of actual Kirby. And that was a naming after. Mario was named after a real guy. I can't remember his name, but I remember he was a landlord for Nintendo. And that guy was kind of an arsehat, if I remember correct. But anyway, back to the shit heap. I have seen him truly happy and truly sad, and at one point I may even see him truly angry. He feels like any other living, breathing human being. Except he's not a human being. He looks like a human being. He can feel like a human being. He can starve and die of dehydration like a normal human being. But he's not a human being. He's an amalgamation of pixels, you dumbass! I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know how something so human could rise from something so truly inhuman. A character with a soul seemed completely impossible to me before I played this hack. I now have a goal with this game: to keep this poor creature safe. I suppose I now know the real truth. I'll see you all tomorrow. Same place, same time. You wanna know the sad thing? I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way through and I want to log out. I'll save the rest of this for later. Maybe this will be part of the Halloween thing. Well, I should be saying my October things. But anyway, that said, I'm gonna wrap it up. Later, ladies and gentlemen.